guys, what's up? We're back with another edition of the Deer Critics review. We're looking at Q3 for 2020, and we just had a massive quarter this time, and so I couldn't break it all down myself. I had to bring on a guest here. Eddie Taylor from the league is here joining me to break it down. How you doing, Eddie?
Doing great. This is awesome.
Oh, man, we got so many games to break down. We have 20 games that came out this quarter as opposed to 7 the past 2 quarters. So just a ton to look at. So right off the bat, let's go ahead and just run down the list of the games. This is in order of release date. So we have Iron Man VR, Deadly Premonition 2, Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town, Ghost of Tsushima, Paper Mario, The Origami King, Total War Saga Troy, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Spiritfarer, Project Cars 3, Tell Me Why, The Last Campfire, Windbound, Wasteland 3, Iron Harvest, Crusader Kings 3, Marvel's Avengers, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, Spelunky 2, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim, and Mafia Definitive Edition. Good grief, Eddie. We had, like I said, just 20, just huge releases. We have some really big games to talk about, a couple of stinkers. I want to know, though, your overall thoughts on your team this quarter in the games that you got. How are you feeling about your team specifically?
I feel really good. The counter picks obviously kind of kicked me, but since I ended up counter picking Crusader Kings 3, which is the second highest scoring game of the quarter, but yeah, it came out good. I think this is a solid quarter. I think this really sets the trend for the rest or exemplifies the whole year, where we haven't had a lot of low scoring games this year.
Yeah. Crusader Kings, like you just mentioned, come out with a 91. A 92 is the biggest hitter, Microsoft Flight Simulator with a 92. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is that tied for the lead of the year of the biggest score? No, it looks like Last of Us did get
Last of Us 2 still has the lead on that 93.
Okay, so Half-Life Alyx is also a 92. So we have 2 92 scores. So yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator coming in huge for you right there. I mean,
yeah.
that's your biggest game right now, although you have some heavy hitters all around. Other big hitter this quarter, the 13 Sentinels. How you feeling about that?
I was pleasantly surprised by that. I was figuring it was 8 to 10, and getting above the 10 threshold on what is essentially an indie.
When you put it on your team, I had no idea what the game was, and here lately with reviews coming out semi recently, I've gotten a pretty good glimpse of the game, and it looks like something that really I could dig into. So that is one of the best things about the league is that
it forces you to go looking for things, and really step outside of what you would normally be into, right?
Yeah.
And normally I wouldn't have found 13 Sentinels. It would have been something that showed up at a GameStop bargain bin in 3 or 4 years. I'd be like, oh, that's a fun little thing. Let me pick that up. Now it's like, I might need to get that,
Yeah, absolutely. As far as my team goes, I had Spelunky 2 this quarter, The Last Campfire, Paper Mario, and Tony Hawk's 1 and 2. So between Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Spelunky 2, I had some high 80s scores, and good grief, man, I need it. I have hardly nothing coming out so far. My big game, my number 1 drafted game, Breath of the Wild 2, will not come out this year. And it's looking like Hollow Knight is also not going to come out this year.
Yeah. And Yakuza Like a Dragon, I think, is projected to be kind of a flop at this point, right?
Yeah, so I've got plenty of work to do. I've really got what I would call just a hodgepodge of sort of smaller and indie games kind of cobbled together to see if I can get some, like those low 80s, low to mid 80s maybe, to see if I can at least squeak in with a second place or who knows what'll happen.
I think you have a good shot of it with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That could always come blow everything out of the water, be amazing because it looks so good.
This is true. That is my one big AAA game that I was able to snag outside of what would have been Breath of the Wild 2. So yeah, looking forward to see how that reviews. And of course, another, I guess if we're talking about things that happened this quarter, Kenna Bridge of Spirits, or maybe Kena Bridge of Spirits, got delayed. I was looking forward to that one as well.
Yeah.
So a couple of will not releases there. Speaking of will not releases, Deathloop for your team. How you feel about that? I know it was kind of a right after you got it.
I that was one of the situations where they were absolutely certain that it was going to come out, and I think their publisher said, "No, you're going to wait." And because the team felt like they could ship it, and the publisher maybe just couldn't physically do it with the logistical issues on the planet right now.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things that's unfortunate. Hey, we're going to release it. All right, I'll draft it. Hey, we're not going to release it.
Right.
Man. But yeah.
Okay, so looking at the rest of the league outside of your team and my team, any particular games that stand out to you, whether just surprises one way or the other?
I would say that I was actually kind of surprised. One, Iron Man VR scored a positive score this quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect that because VR is still sort of a gimmick, and I think developers are working to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And both of us having finished Ghost of Tsushima now, I believe. I think maybe it was a low score from the critics, and I'm not sure why. I think objectively to me, that is the game of the year. Subjectively, I'm going to pick Final Fantasy VII every time, but objectively, it's that's going to be the best game of the year to me.
Yeah, I think I might be with you there. I haven't fully thought about my game of the year, but yeah, Ghost is certainly up there for me.
Right.
Okay, so let's go down the list of the rest of the league and what came out this quarter for those particular teams. Okay, we're looking at Wolfpack Family Games. Jeff had 2 releases. Tell me why. Got him an 80. And then Windbound, which is a game I said in the thread that I wanted to get, and he snagged from me, got a 66. So I'm glad that Jeff got it there.
Jeff saved you on that one.
Yeah, and then no counter picks there for Jeff. So just a net score of 6+ points there when you count in Tell Me Why and Windbound for the quarter for Jeff. So he has a lot of work to do. Any thoughts on Jeff's team, Eddie?
Jeff got hit hard by a lot of things that either got delayed or maybe misrepresented in how they were going to be put out.
Mm-hmm.
But he also has only had 3 releases.
Yeah.
4 releases.
4,
sorry.
Yeah.
So he could still come back without too much trouble. Outriders is kind of a wild card on him, having counterpicked it. Some people are saying it looks amazing. Some people saying it's going to be kind of terrible. So that might be his wild card on whether or not he comes out roaring back. For the moment, I think Jeff is our big mystery.
Yeah. Does I guess I can click on it here. Dying Light 2. Does it have a release date?
It
doesn't.
No, it's a TBA.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I was thinking we get some
the website doesn't always update.
Right. That's what I was curious. I didn't know if you knew it off the top of your head. But what I was getting at is I'm trying to find out where Jeff's going to get some points. I think he's going to get some points from Crash Bandicoot 4. I think that'll be at least an 80, I think. And then I don't know about Crossfire X. Star Wars Squadrons could go either way. I'm thinking 77-ish, maybe more if it is just really good, which I think EA Motive is a good studio. But anyway, let's move on. Unless you have the release date for Dying Light 2.
The official website doesn't have anything either. So
okay. All right. Well, let's just move on to Alex's team. Level Cap Rhythm Games this quarter, the big one, really one of the biggest AAA games from the draft. Marvel's Avengers has been anticipated for years, and it came out to what can only be called as just middling to bad reviews. It got a 68. It's sitting at right now on the Open Critic score, so a -2 for Alex there. And then the other Marvel's game he snagged, Iron Man VR, got him a 74, which, kind of crazy to think, like you just said, that the VR game did better than the huge AAA.
Right.
And then Project Cars 3 getting him, really netting him no score, just 70 straight up. That's a goose egg 0. So a little bit of a struggle here in this quarter for Alex. Avengers didn't come through. What do you think about Avengers? I know you played a little bit of it.
Yeah. So I was talking to you about the beta earlier, and then I wasn't impressed, and then so I was like, okay, let me try the full game. Maybe they tuned up some of the muddy controls and they didn't. Half the characters still felt literally like you were walking through mud. So it's an interesting game. It's pretty. It's right on point thematically, but you can't have a game that's just not fun to control the characters. So I think that's really just it's almost tragic.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree. I remember it was a like most anticipated game for me coming into the year, and
Oh
now
yeah.
I have virtually zero interest. It'd have to be like a $20 or under kind of bargain bin thing for me to dive in.
I will say Alex has the perfect counter picks going for the year so far, though.
Aha, this is true. Got goose eggs on both. Won't be getting anything. So yeah, if you can come out with your counter picks being either a zero score, that's it. It's pretty good because most of us are getting dinged. Speaking of getting dinged, we're moving on to Boomstick, who had got dinged last quarter for Streets of Rage 4, getting a good score in her counter picks. But let's look at the games that she got. And I say games, it's only one game singular. Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town, got a 78 for Amanda, which netted her 8 points for the league. Kind of like me, and kind of like Jeff. Still a lot of games to come out for her. Most notably, there's I think Rainbow Six Quarantine is going to be a big one for her. Watch Dogs Legion, and then she was able to snag Demon Souls 2020, which was kind of the recent controversial game. Shouldn't we even be bidding on it?
Yeah, and I think the big argument there came down to if you allow Tony Hawk, you kind of have to allow Demon Souls because it's almost the same thing.
It's real tough. Anytime you have from the ground up graphics, something like Demon Souls or say Shadow of the Colossus, same developer, Blue Point Games. It's real hard because man, that is a fresh work by that team who did that,
Yeah.
but you're using a template. I get the argument. So it is real hard to talk about that. But regardless to say, Demon Souls is going to score wonderfully for Amanda's team, is it not?
Oh yeah, yeah. I would imagine it will, especially if they tune up the net code issues that the original had. Also, the site just updated for me. She just picked up Sackboy on the waiver wire.
Okay, I was about to say, we are recording on Monday night. It is actually at 8:59 Eastern time by my time right now. So yeah, I saw that and I was sort of befuddled for a second. I was like, wait a second, Sackboy. Okay, good on Amanda. Sackboy, A Big Adventure, which is a launch game for the PS5.
Yep.
And so yeah, I was able to. Yeah, I did get Astro's Playroom, the other sort of kind of small, fun mascot launch title for the
yeah. But one last thing on Amanda's, I think a lot of her score might come down to does Quarantine release, given that the negative optics could be there for this year, being a disease-related game and all that. And if it does release, will it take a hit just on principle of it being a disease-related game of the year? So, that one could go nowhere. So we'll see. And she has that Outriders complete question mark still, like I said.
As far as a release date, or just we don't know the quality?
We don't know what the quality of the score is going to be.
Okay. All right.
As far as I know, they're still on track to release on Christmas season.
Some of these games is still. I don't feel like we have a super firm date. So you would think at this point in the year you would have some of these, but maybe another week or three and we'll get some firm dates.
Yeah.
Okay. So a lot of potential there for Amanda still. I think even though she is, and we'll look at this later, toward the bottoms of the rankings, I think she'll be shooting up with things like Demon Souls for sure. Okay. Moving on to Doug's Vestigial. We already talked about my team a good little bit, so we won't belabor this. I'll say briefly, I was slightly disappointed in the performance of Paper Mario Origami King, only given a 78. I really thought, given Nintendo's pedigree, it would get a little bit better. Any thoughts on Paper Mario?
Yeah, so I watched Amanda play probably 10 hours, not like a straight 10 hours, but I watched about 10 hours worth of it. It's one of those games where you pick it up and you start playing, and you're like, oh, this is amazing. Oh, this is all the flavor of Paper Mario. Oh, it's great. And then about halfway into what I was watching, I'm like, is this just the same fight again?
Okay.
And this is the same boss again. It's a different skin, but the mechanics of the boss are identical. It's no harder than it was before.
Yeah.
It's very much almost felt like it was marketed to, the under 13 category.
Sure.
Which is, those are never going to score well with critics just because critics are not under 13.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on then to Luke King Games. He came out heavy with some heavy hitters early this year with Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
yeah, he
VII
did.
Remake and Ori and the Will of the Wisp, just, kind of being the team to beat. But then Deadly Premonition 2 came out this quarter, getting him a 61 Open Critic, -9 score for the league. Though he did have Mafia Definitive Edition come out recently here in the past week. This was actually the last game released this quarter. Got him an 81 for 11 points there. Now,
Solid.
he also counterpicked Marvel's Avengers, which was I think he had the first counter pick to pick that one. I want to say that was the very first counter pick. So he actually got 2 points for that.
He had third on that one.
Oh, did he? Okay. All right. Well, pardon that. But anyway, Deadly Premonition 2, not getting him nothing there. And then Mafia doing kind of counterbalancing Deadly Premonition 2.
Mm-hmm.
So still to go. He's got Tunic on the roster. He got Sports Story, The Medium, Amnesia Rebirth, Bravely Default 2. And did he just pick up Immortals Phoenix Rising? Is that new?
He did. That just processed.
Okay, man, we're recording on the perfect night to get all this.
Yeah,
fresh
it's great.
This is really neat to see.
Like a real sports channel.
Yeah, he's got a full roster now. Luke does. So yeah, the stage is set for Luke's team. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to Marshall. Man, I hate that we didn't get not only a release date for Elden Ring, we didn't get anything for Elden Ring.
And it looks so pretty and so just interesting.
Well,
nothing.
I don't know what it is exactly. We've seen the teaser, we've heard some morsels of information, but I guess we'll just have to wait on that one. So let's talk about what he did have out, and that is Crusader Kings 3, 91, like we mentioned at the top of the show, getting him 22 points. And then Spiritfarer, which is probably the indie game. Oh, no, I guess Spelunky 2 is the indie game of the quarter, but Spiritfarer coming in with a great 87 score. And then, up until quarter 3, Marshall hadn't had a single game release. So he finally had Ghost of Tsushima, which was his big AAA game that he got at the draft. You mentioned earlier, maybe slightly disrespected with the 85. You think it's potentially game of the year. I think it's potentially game of the year.
Yeah.
We'll see where that kind of goes as far as the game of the year conversation goes. But with what Marshall has, he's got 3 games that will not release, including Star Wars, or including Lego Star Wars, excuse me, and Mountain Blade 2. But with 12 minutes, Axiom Verge 2, and then room to grow for his roster, Marshall can still make some waves in the league. Okay. Moving on to Crystal Cross Games, the final game, and Eddie, we talked about a good bit of your games already. So,
yep.
I guess let's talk a little bit about Microsoft Flight Simulator, because it's a 92. It's the second biggest scoring game of the year, and you drafted it. Did you see this one coming?
I figured low mid 80s because the flight sim community was ready for something completely redesigned, and I was aware of that because I have several friends who are into that.
Okay.
But I did not expect it to scoring more than like 10 to 12 points, right? Like,
yeah,
I was going to be happy with that, especially given that it was my 4th pick. I was like, that would be good. But yeah, that was and Amanda actually told me, hey, Flight Sim's coming out this year. I'm like, I'll talk to some people, see if that's anything to look forward to. So, yeah.
Cool.
And I will tell the league once I actually try Iron Harvest how it is. It didn't score all that well, but thematically, it's one of those things that I was really looking forward to. It's like post World War I steampunk mechas. So
yeah. And how about Total War Saga Troy? Have you been able to touch that one at all?
I picked that up just because it had the Total War label on it. Just figured I'd go off a name brand recognition. Yeah. So I don't really play into Total War games. So.
Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look ahead at the Q4 games that we have upcoming. So, we've talked up pretty much about all the Q3 games that have come out, and so we're entering the last leg of the year. When you look at the upcoming release games, you got things like Star Wars Squadrons, you got Watch Dogs Legion, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Is there anything that sticks out in particular to you that you think will either perform really great or maybe surprise people in one way or the other?
I don't know that we're gonna get many surprises on this list. It's just that you know we know Assassin's Creed could theoretically do well, but it's not going to do poorly, right? They've learned their lesson after Unity.
Yeah.
Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think it was the most fought over game in the entire draft so
Yeah.
far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think will be for good reason.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's anything surprising here, unless Legend of Heroes comes out and really kills it for some reason.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I think Demon Souls is going to be the best score game of that list. Um, Given that it's already a beloved game and looking at Blue Point's treatment of it, I think Demon Souls has the chance to be a 90 plus kind of game.
Yeah.
So I think that one probably has the best chance of hitting and landing for Amanda there. All right. Well, we're wrapping it up here, but let's real quick. Let's take a look at kind of the standings where we're sitting. Currently in the league as we enter the last quarter. I'm looking at the current standings as it sits today. So we have Crystal Cross Games in the lead with 83 points. Second place is Liu King Games with 63 points. Doug's Vest Digital in third with 54 points. Level Cap Rhythm Games with 31 points. M Powerful, 29 points. And really tied with M Powerful is Boomstick with 29 points as well. And then Wolfpack Family Games at 23 points. Real quick, the projected standings, it's not much difference. I'm going to quickly go down. It's Crystal Cross, Liu King, Level Cap is projected to finish third. Then Doug's Vest Digital, M Powerful, Wolfpack, and then Boomstick bringing up the rear there. So given what we've seen with the Q4 games, given what we've seen the moves that people have made tonight, adding games to their rosters, who do you think will kind of be making moves? And Eddie, go ahead and give me your top three projected teams for the whole year. Who's winning the league?
Luke, I think, has the best shot at this point of winning the league.
Okay. Even over yourself?
Yeah, because he had better counter picks. He just like me, he has consistently good scores, but his are slightly higher. Mm-hmm. And I think he has a good lineup coming out. Mm-hmm. And so right now he has no will not releases, so he has the possibility of getting scores on every game.
Okay, this is true.
I'd say I'm in a good spot to take second, behind Luke, and it's probably going to be a neck and neck race there. And then I guess at the moment I have to hand it to you, but you have a couple people like you have a lot of, like I said, a lot of potential with that Valhalla pick. But yes. The problem with once you get past the three of us, you've got like Marshall, who has an infinite amount of room to grow, having almost nothing picked up. Uh-huh. And I think Jeff has 2 slots as well and almost no releases. So
this is great.
It's going to be interesting. This is going to be just as exciting as last year's was, coming down to the wire.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you with Luke. I like his roster a lot. I think there's an absolute ton of potential. The game that I'm most interested in seeing, the medium. I'm very curious in that game. That one has my particular eye. I like Luke as well. And Eddie, you're in the driver's seat, whether you think you are or not. I think. I know Deathloop kind of gave you a blow. It might come down to Hyrule Warriors for you, given how that game goes. I don't know how it will review. So we'll see how that one goes. That you got the Breath of the Wild game, I didn't. But yeah, I don't see myself entering the top 3. I just don't see it. I think it's going to be someone like Alex, or maybe Jeff or Marshall sneaking in. I'm not real sure, but I do think it's between you and Luke for the top 2.
Yeah. I will say, Amanda could also be that third spot with Watch Dogs and Demon Souls coming out still. So
yeah. If those 2 hit, and then for some reason Sackboy is like some beloved game and like just kind of wows everyone, she could definitely be someone to look out for.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is the Q3 review for the Deer Critics League, guys. Eddie, thank you so much for hopping on the mic with me. And
hey, man, thank you for all the work you do as our commissioner. It's been fantastic.
I appreciate it. It's a lot of fun. I'm having a blast, at least. I hope you guys are too. And really, I want these videos and things to be part of kind of what makes it fun. I want to, once I kind of saw that I was going to be rhythmic with it and keep doing it, I was like, well, we need to kind of get some other guys in here so that we can kind of enjoy the camaraderie together and just kind of, just kind of help the league enjoy it more, kind of as a unit. So really glad you could sort of hop on the mic and help out. All right, guys. Well, until next time, good luck on the waiver wire. I hope you get all the games that you want, and we'll be obviously talking in threads. So you guys have a good night.
Have a good night, y'all.